Shabbat Shalom, welcome to another virtual Shabbat experience where we will talk about the basics and the happenings of this Shabbat and the forthcoming week, followed by sermon words of inspiration on this week's Torah portion. Shabbat begins this evening at 8:42. The earliest you can light your Shabbat candles is at 7:23 p.m. and tomorrow Shabbat ends at 9:58 p.m. We're getting to the longer nights where Shabbat comes in later and goes out later. There are no uniquely differences about the Shabbat specifically, except for the fact that we are blessing the new month of Sivan, Shabbat Mevarachim Sivan, which means in tomorrow's morning's services we bless the new month, which can be found in the art scroll on page 452, the green sid on page 424 and 419 in the transliterated. The Molad, the new birth of the new moon, which begins roughly today over Jerusalem at 11:42 a.m. and 13 Chalakim. Rosh Chodesh is on Sunday. We will actually have a musical Hallel service at 8:30 a.m. We bless the new month as Machar Chodesh, which is why the Haftorah is called Machar Chodesh, the story of King Saul and David, where they would have big celebrations back then on Rosh Chodesh, and there was a discussion the day before about whether David would attend, and it's therefore called Machar Chodesh. And this week, in fact, tomorrow, Sunday, is Rosh Chodesh. The Torah reading, we begin the fourth book, Bamidbar. The sages don't have any of the 613 mitzvot inside, but it has some wonderful stories of the counting of the Jewish people and the redeeming of the firstborn onto the Levites as a result of their sin of the golden calf, the counting and the princes of each tribe and their flag and where they would be in reference to the Levites and the tabernacle that was in the center of the camp of the Jewish people. That is the one other addition. There is a special prayer which some people say each week. It's usually not said on Shabbat Mevarachim, but this week it is said by all, and that is a prayer of Av HaRachamim, which is after the blessing of the new month, 426 in the green siddur, 422 in the transliterated, and 454 in the art scroll siddur. Mazel Tov. Let's begin with a Mazel Tov to Jamie and Georgina Estekin, and to Rafael and Pearl, and to grandparents Ruth and Raymond and Nigel and Jeanette on the birth of a baby boy. Mazel Tov to you. Mazel Tov and welcome to Michael Abraham and Malcolm Carter within the Shul leadership. We appreciate all of your assistance. Chaim Aruchim to all those that are observing Yortzeit this week as well. So a lot of things happening the forthcoming week as we prepare for Shavuot. Kicks off with, we mentioned the Rosh Chodesh morning musical Hallel, 8:30 on Sunday. Sunday evening at 8 p.m. is the women's pre-Shavuot tea and tikkun. On Tuesday, we have a wonderful activity in Shul between 5 to 6 p.m. It's going to be 80 degrees, and we'll be having little handouts for families for Shavuot, and there will also be a kosher ice cream truck. You must book online for this for social distancing, and it's shulinthewood.com/drive-through. Tuesday evening, there is an amazing food demonstration, and Wednesday, the rabbinic team will be doing a pre-Shavuot Tikkun Leil. All of the details are on the website. Please do check them over there. So a young boy turns to his dad one day, and he says, "Dad, tell me, at what age, when will I be able to go out and have fun and do things without having to ask Mum first?" The dad looks at his son and he says, "Well, my son, I'm not sure. At my age, I'm still having to ask your mum whether I can go out or not, so I'll keep you posted." Okay, how about this one? A guy was driving down the street and he sees a fellow in front of him, goes straight through a stop sign, he doesn't stop. When he catches up to him, he winds the window down and he says, "What are you doing? There was a stop sign back there." He says, "Listen, I learned to drive by my older brother. He taught me. He doesn't stop at the stop signs. I'm not stopping at the stop sign." Rips off. Comes to a red light. Boom, he goes through again. Through the red light. This time he catches up to him a couple of streets later and he says, "Why?" He says, "I don't understand again. You've gone through a red light." He says, "Listen, my brother taught me how to drive. He goes through the red lights. We go through the red lights." Zooms off again. They get to a green light and all confused, the guy behind sees that he's stopped. So he goes and he says, "What? You went through the stop sign, you've gone through the red light, and now you're stopping at the green. What's all that about?" He says, "Oh, my brother's meant to be going the other direction." These two jokes are actually quite important because they highlight the idea of family and values. that we have, and I'd like to talk about it from a Jewish perspective. You see, in this week's Torah portion, Bamidbar, which in English is called Numbers, the whole book of Bamidbar, and it's because God counts the Jewish people. And while he counts the Jewish people numerous times, this time it is out of love and cherish, like a treasure. If somebody has something and they want to know how many pearls or diamonds or money they may have, they constantly count it to feel the excitement. God counts the Jewish people for the same reason. But there is an interesting nuance or addition in it, in the very second verse of the Torah, and it goes like this. Su'u et rosh kol adat b'nei Yisrael, lemishbechotam leveit avotam. Take the sum, the number of the congregation of the children of Israel, by families following their father's house. Now, if you're trying to take a census and count an amount of individuals, it becomes irrelevant, the family. We're trying to find out how many are in the tribe or how many are in the people. What is this point of lemishbechotam, to their families? We're not counting the families. There may be 2 or 3 individuals within that family that will come into the census. So why are we saying lemishbechotam? Okay, leveit avotam, we're saying who's the family, going after the father, but why lemishbechotam as well? What is this unique term? This book, Guns, Germs and Steels, is one of the great writings of sociology and anthropology, in how the human race has developed over, he claims, 13,000 years, a short history of everybody. But in it, it highlights one of those ideas of how humanity develops from bands to tribes to chiefdom to states, where you may have a family of a band, which could be 5 to 80 people, then you get a tribe, which may be a few hundred, the chiefdom has a few thousand, and then you get the state or the country, where you have over 50,000. What's the difference between them? The difference between them is that the necessities that you need to keep the order and the society are very different. In a family, for example, there was no need for religion. There was no government. There was one language. If there was conflict, then resolved individually. There was very little hierarchy beyond the patriarch or matriarch who was the head of that household. Things were different, and as you developed and grew in numbers, society required new things: religion, myth, laws, and this is how people were going to be getting along with each other, and how you're going to resolve if there are issues. In other words, the family does not represent at all the society. In fact, some biologists suggest that society is what's influencing parenting today. If we were to not look at society and look back at perhaps the animal kingdom for our parenting skills, as it were, it would be more natural, because a lot of the decisions we're making at home is because the society has created those expectations or those values. In other words, the family is now a product of the society. But in Judaism, it's very different. In Judaism, the family, lemishbechotam, is the foundation. There are morals, there is a story, there is a God, there is a religion, there is respect. There is lots that go on within the family that are actually a prototype for the entire society. If you want to know how the tribe is, you want to know how the chiefdom is, you want to know what's going on in the state, the family is the area where it is most focused in how that place will be and how things are going on. And therefore, quite the contrary, society isn't influencing the family, but the way we respect and treat those things within the family will influence society. And this began by the first Jews, Abraham and Sarah. They opened their home and they realized that they were going to change the world. In fact, humanity starts with just the family, Adam and Eve, empowering the family and that union to influence the surrounding and the world around them. So as we look in our own homes during this time, and we look for a different world when we come out, perhaps the respect, the fulfillment that we can find through being in a relationship, the sharing, the passing things down, and the values and the morals that we are creating within there can have a greater impact on the world around us. And this is the message that God is telling the Jewish people. You're no longer slaves in a foreign land in Egypt. You're advancing from nomads in a desert for 40 years, and you're becoming a people with your own nation, with your own state. being there first and foremost is לממשפחותן. If you enhance and build the family life, the state will thrive. We bless all the families, all those that want to make a family, all those that need a family, and all those that are on their own. We are all a family within the community. For good health, for peace. Shabbat Shalom.